3, 2, 1. Welcome, Bulldog fans, to no, we're not at Scott Field, Davis Wade Stadium. Steve, we are in town here at Deep South Pout, where you're having a promotional today to celebrate your new book, Stark Villains.
It's true, and David, partner with these guys for the Stark Villain shirts that people can order at starkvillains.com, or you can come to the new game day shop here at Deep South Pout and buy them and take them with you. Wear them to game day this weekend. But yeah, I'm happy to partner with them, Dave, and still got some Flim Flam stuff. Got some big news about Flim Flam coming up, but Stark Villains will be out next month, and so we're kind of getting ready for that, kind of getting excited about all that.
Now, I know Mississippi State canceled the Blackout for tomorrow's game with Kentucky, but, you know, it's going to be a little bit cooler. It's going to be in the 80s, got a nice breeze going, but I'm sure fans, if you come by a T-shirt from Steve, he will personally rip the sleeves for you, make it, look concert right, help you surf the crowd at Scott Field tomorrow. True. Just, come in, join, and support the book, support Mississippi State University. All right, to tomorrow's game. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow because we're still the aftermath of the loss to Kansas State. We know some things that were beyond control, such as the shoulder injury to Tommy Stevens. We do think he'll be fine, ready to play this weekend. But now, after a week to think about it and State's practice, we talked to players, talked to a couple of staff. What do you think the mindset is going to their SEC opener in a game which, realistically, for the big season goals, is a must-win?
Yeah, I think you're right, David. I think it is a must-win. And one of the things, too, they've been a little bit cagey at times about Tommy Stevens' health. Last week, Joe said I wouldn't rule him out, and then he comes out this Monday and says, well, he's in a much better position than he was a week ago. We've met with Tommy both weeks, and he was available last week, and he played. He's available this week. We expect him to play. Last week, I think we knew, Dave, chances were he would start, maybe not finish the game. I think there's a chance he could start and finish, but at the same time, you might see Garrett Schrader on some packages as well.
Well, the thing about this is, though, Stevens, and he told us Monday, or Tuesday we talked to him, that he was not limited. Coaches did not tell him don't run, don't carry the ball. But you could tell he was trying to protect that shoulder naturally there. If the quarterback is any way at all limited in running, what does it take away from this offense as a whole? Even allowing that you have a great running back in Colin Hill, your receiving game is much improved. This offense, to our eyes, still seems to need the quarterback run threat.
David, if you don't have the quarterback run threat, all of a sudden you're very, very predictable. And I think we saw some of that with Kansas State last week, is that Colin Hill comes out and does a great job for you, but at the same time, everybody was focused on him. And it took a while for him to kind of get going because of the fact the quarterback design runs weren't available. And we kind of knew Tommy Stevens might do some things, might not do some things. Ironically, State's first touchdown scored on a rushing touchdown from Tommy Stevens, but he clearly wasn't right. We think he'll be a lot closer to 100%. But nobody's 100% this time of year.
Deron Parker's the other question mark. People have kind of forgotten about him on offensive line, but getting him back would really ease some issues. And I think take some pressure off guys like Darrell Williams, who he admitted he was kind of holding the ball too long in his snaps, resulted in high snaps, I think because he was feeling the extra pressure to make things just perfect on the line because they were patching a few things together.
Yeah, and we got Evans Wilkerson back last week, and that helps a little bit. But I think we're going to see a lot less mixing and matching this week. Through 3 non-conference games, Marcus Johnson substituted rather liberally, played 9 offensive linemen last week, excluding Darian Parker. I think this week you pretty much ride with the starters. SEC play here is here now, and so you're going to ride with the horses that bring you the farthest.
All right, the big question defensively, and I'm not going to ask you for an answer because we don't know the answer. We won't know until about 90 minutes before kickoff if Lee Autry, Willie Gay, possibly Marcus Murphy, anybody else among the unofficial but understood Tutorgate 10 will be activated for this game. If they can play, and certainly you would think if they're available, this is the game you want to do with them, how much does that help this Bulldog defense, which at times has been vulnerable to a good run game, and Kentucky is a very physical offensive line of scrimmage. You need your best and biggest and strongest, most experienced bodies at line and linebacker this game.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see Willie Gay make his 2019 debut. And Willie's a difference maker. Willie is arguably the most athletic linebacker on the Mississippi State roster. And I don't know how you could really argue against that. And he's been missed. It's as simple as that. I think having him back this week negates some of the Kentucky rushing attack, but also, too, probably aids in your blitz package a little bit as well. Willie's a guy that has a lot of aspirations for the next level. He needs to get some things on tape, not just for this year but for next year. But we think most of those guys that have been somewhat unavailable will have a chance to play this week.
All right, we got to watch some of Kentucky, Florida last week. First time I've laid eyes on them. And very physical, again, as I said, an offensive line. Defensive line, pretty stout as well. How does the change of quarterback, to your eye, change what they are? I know the players have said the previous quarterback is probably a little more of a running threat than this one. This guy will tuck and go if he needs to, but maybe it makes them a little more predictable in offense. And they don't have Benny Snell, but they have some good running backs, and they have a couple of great receivers.
Yeah, Sawyer Smith runs just enough to kind of keep you honest, and he's kind of like Tommy Stevens in that respect. Tommy might be a little bit better runner than Sawyer Smith is, but he is a guy that can throw it around a little bit. He will test that Bulldog secondary, and he will keep those linebackers kind of in no man's land between the play action, the run-pass option, all that sort of stuff. So I think State's got an idea of what they want to do offensively, but yeah, Terry, a lot more athletic player. The flip side of that, too, David, is the front seven for Kentucky is very good. You know, they do have a good front four. Don't have Josh Allen. Don't have a first-round draft pick up front this year like they did a year ago. Cash Daniel, who has had his name in the paper a lot this week, and Square, both of those guys, very productive tacklers. Both had big games against Florida last week. But I think Mississippi State has to attack the secondary. I think you've got to be able to go out there and make some passes completed down the field. That'll loosen up that passing game. And Kentucky proved to be pretty leaky last week against that Florida passing game, and that's where I think State has to attack them and get things established early.
All right, we're not going to go specifically on special teams because there's no area that unit can't improve. We just know that and would it not be the ultimate irony if this is the week they run back a kick, score some points, things like that? And certainly they've got the athletic ability to do it. Just something's been missing here this season, maybe even last season somewhat. But you know the potential is there because they've seemed to revise their kickoff return guys. They want to get Javonte Payton more involved, and frankly, he also needs to be more involved in the receiving game as well. But they seem to be searching for that right answer in return, but they've really got to get the coverage fixed, both punt and kickoff.
Yeah, and David, it's just been that's one consistent with special teams has been inconsistency. I mean, you've had some games this year where you've put some things together, but by and large, they have not put a complete game together yet. Hopefully, this is the one. SEC plays here, and as you said earlier, David, this is a game State has to have. We're expected to be an 8-4 type team. You've already dropped the game you expected to win. This is one you had probably penciled in as a W when the season began. You can't go 2-2 after 4 facing this SEC West gauntlet.
All right, last week, a very light recruiting weekend. This weekend, they have more plans for it. 3 o'clock kickoff time, more time for the players to get over their Friday night or Thursday night actions, come to the park. What do we know about recruiting visits this weekend?
Yeah, no official visitors, but we expect a lot of game day visitors, primarily the usual suspects, a lot of your Mississippi State commitments and priority targets, as well as some of the juniors and sophomores from the future. Wrote a little bit of a feature earlier today about Provine High School, about the success Mississippi State has had there, expecting some of those Ram football players to be on campus this weekend to watch Monte Russell. And State's done really well there. You mentioned Kendall Watkins, Fred Smoot, Tommy Kelly, some guys that have played a lot of football in their day, came to Mississippi State via Provine High School.
All right, we're going to be a little shorthanded tomorrow. Steve, you have a prior commitment of the right kind. You know, congratulations, yourself and Dana going to attend the race, a big one again this time, but back in the fold. Of course, our rest of our crew will be on hand to report. But we want Steve to enjoy this day from 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock here at Deep South Pout, and there'll still be copies of Flim Flam available for sale. Get your Stark Villains t-shirt ready and start placing your orders for Stark Villains to be coming out soon.
Yep, StarkVillainsTheBook.com is the place to pre-order.
So for our team from Jesus Page 24/7 here at downtown Starkville, ahead of Mississippi State's game tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Kentucky SEC Network. Conditions look good for weather. Show up, be here, cheer the Bulldogs on in a must-win game for Mississippi State here in 2019. This is David Murray.